I also like try to organize those pop-ups. I also work at the print shop every now and then. And then freelance graphic design. I haven't had any free time to actually sit down and design something for myself. So what kind of designs do I do in my spare time? I would say none, because I really don't. It's really just like, it's come to a point where it's just a service. When I was younger, it might have been different, but right now it's like really just what the people want from me. And they're like, I need this, I need the text here, and like, put this image, and this is like my inspiration. And then they give that all to me, I give them the price, and then in like a week or so, I give them the final design. That's about it.
So designers might have been seen more as engineers or as within the decorative arts at some point, but they've grown in the last 150, maybe 200 years or more, to be specialists in designing things for people. And that has always had an implication of consumption. It's always been a part of consumer culture. I think eventually graphic design gets implicated in a way of enticing or convincing people to consume. Industrial designers have always had an implication in designing products for people to consume, and so on. And so it always has been a very kind of tight-knit relationship. It's a very, very difficult relationship to break from.
I find that designers were not the highest paid people, and I feel like we should be higher up in it, because designers, like, we're literally affecting everything we're affecting the way that you think. Like, my ads can change the way that you think of a product or the way that you think of yourself.
Like, why would people spend $1,300 on some shoes that Kanye wore and designed? It's because it's Kanye West, man. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah, he'll make you look like a homeless man, because that's the whole Yeezy 3 is like just like homeless wear, but people want it, and that's because, yeah, it's marketed that way. People want to be like Kanye.
Part of being a good designer means really questioning the systems in which you're contributing to, and that's never going to be easy.
What do you feel your responsibility as an artist or designer is?
Just to like produce cool stuff, like just to produce dope shit. I don't know, it's like
solving the problem of creating something that's like aesthetically pleasing to everyone. That's something that everyone will like.
We can say institutionally what we want to do with students and what our hope is, but we are not the only cultural force involved in forming designers in this world, and that is really the challenge.
I think as artists, the only thing that you're really thinking about is how am I gonna live, and the only way to live is to sell your art. So you make art that can sell, that people want.
You need to paint stuff people want, or design stuff people want, to be able to earn money.
No, because we're all selfish when it comes down to it, and we want to make money, and we all have the skills to create negative and positive designs. And in a capitalist society, they want us to create more negative. They want us to create negative designs, but sell them as positive designs.
But designers are manipulative, and sometimes that's a good thing.
I feel like we kind of need that in design, some kind of design because we're so capable of like hurting people through our design.
In 1999, there was an increasing sense that design was being used in ways which a lot of myself as a practitioner disagreed with. There were better purposes that it could be put to, more socially responsible uses that it could be put to, and that in fact that increasingly it seemed that we were on this course whereby the skills of the creative industry, at least the visual creative industry, were being used in such a way that was even damaging the world that we live in, both in terms of its as a mental environment of ideas and concepts, but also as a physical environment, damaging the physical environment through the ravages of consumerism.
And ultimately, there were things in the manifesto that we kind of thought, well, we might not have put that in, or we didn't maybe quite agree with every single word of it. But I think it was the spirit of the thing that I felt that I could really support, because we just wanted to raise the debate and just get people talking about stuff.
You know, I think people are ready to have this conversation. They're just not always given the access to knowledge and the understanding of how to make different choices.
So in terms of a manifesto, it is a provocation, but at the same time, once you make a provocation, what can you do then as an individual to be able to make a difference? So you might buy into the provocation, but you need to do something about it. There needs to be an action in some kind of way. Otherwise, it's kind of a false promise.
The way that design ends up just sort of feeding consumerism is because designers are sort of at the end of the process. We're very close to the end of the process, dangerously so. All the interesting, all the important ideas get made way before we get involved. The way in which you enable social change is to get involved in the editorial thinking.
So I think like my dream job would be like doing something for these bigger companies where I don't necessarily have to communicate with them, but I'm just doing the designs behind the scenes and just like see my work out there. That's like the dream job.
Because the system works for other areas of the world when designers just shut up and make things, or shut up and make things pretty.
You are just out there for hire. It's sort of a kind of the sort of structurelessness of it. You know, you just bring someone in, you use them until they're dried up, and then you spit them out again.
Like I am a tool, so to speak. I'm just like executing what they want, and that's probably the best kind of designs for me.
Like designers are we kind of control society in a way, and I just like wish that like people would notice that, and instead the money's going to our bosses.
Yeah, design is completely political. It can be an agent of change, but then you have to ask yourself, change for whom and why, and do those people want change?
I think what fails us is this continual lack of being organised. We sort of remain in disparate packs. And this is what a kind of neoliberalism has been designed for since the early to late 70s. It's designed to smash any kind of solidarity between those that produce the value.
And I think if designers are skilled in manipulating, if they're skilled in telling other people what to do, they should start to harness that to the best of their ability. I think they've been on a short leash for a really long time. I don't think designers always are able to recognize the power that they could have in this world.
This is a sticker, so that's going to go on the floor. We're going to do that one last.
Okay.
So I can post it.
And they have no idea this is happening.
No. So just go in like you're meant to be there, know what you're doing. I think people will just assume that we have every right to be there.
I think in a way designers have been so implicated within this kind of designer, client, consumer triad, they don't realize they can step out of that and have a broader look at their practice, where they understand the power of their knowledge and where they could be applying this knowledge long before it actually hits into this, this tight little space for designers to exist.
Design can be disruptive, but design can be disruptive to good end. And I think, we need to hold on to the kind of anarchical, and whether that's through political beliefs and values or whether that's through an actual doing that disrupts a particular situation, to allow us to kind of mix it up and turn it upside down and shake it around and see what comes out of that, then I think that's where design plays an important role. And it's absolutely key that we continue to do that.
What's brilliant, I think, and exciting, despite how bad things are today, is that there really is a sense that there is another way, there are alternatives, and there's a lot of really in-depth research into what these alternatives are, and some people are living those alternatives.
If we only have 12 years left in this world before our ecologies and our environments are irreversible, then we better get our act together. And, you know, if there isn't collective action now, I can't imagine what else would be a call to action at this point. That's the scary part.
Which means we cannot be complacent. I think that's the main thing, that, you know, you have to kind of keep talking about these things, and it needs to kind of bubble to the surface every so often to kind of ensure that we're jolting people out of an apathy or a potential apathy.
And holding brands to account, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think designers have yet to really fully understand what collective action might look like when they act as designers. It's not just adhering to a manifesto of kinds. It's not just trying your best to be ethical when you can be. There is a kind of collective action that has a force that goes with it, and I think I hope that designers will start to examine what that actually looks like and what that means.
And I think it's like when you drop a pebble in the water and it ripples out. Well, if you're doing something where that pebble drops that's really effective, then hopefully that will ripple out. And if everybody's doing little pebbles, suddenly you've got a wave.
What we would like to be able to say, and these are the conversations we have with our students, like the First Things First manifesto, we would like to say, is that really the best thing you should be doing? Is that how, or should we collectively be saying no to certain corporations that we know will not, we can't do good from inside. We can't, infect a corporation with ethical concerns from the inside. If we know that is not a possibility, then there has to be, we'll have to kind of unify ourselves in some way to say, no, that's not for us. And they don't, they're not going to find good designers. I don't know how realistic that is. We've not really seen that in action, and that's sort of the problem, right?
And until we find those sort of connections and we sort of act in some sort of networked way, it's possible that things won't change. But
if you've identified a particular challenge in your local neighborhood, get together and try to do something about that. Be positive in that particular aspect. Or go out and mentor people, help people better understand who they might be.
So the fact that this is actually in the minds and hopefully the actions of like young, motivated people, that is really good news. That's amazing. And we need them to be really loud and really assertive in their knowledge and to really aggressively move forward on some of these ideas that they have. We might get there.